still a little high. Okay, let it lean farther back.
There we go.
Okay, that doesn't look bad actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, so let's.
Is it going? Oh.
Yeah, if you can find. If you can find.
Okay, I think I found it. Yep, that is a beautiful thumbnail.
Okay. But can you hear us?
I can produce it. It's like 7 seconds late, I think, maybe.
You have to talk in this way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like speak up like crazy.
Oh well.
Yeah, I'm really gonna have to speak up. I'm gonna have to like move super close.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share this.
Yeah, I'm going to spend the next year just updating all the social media. Give me 1 sec. Let's see. Control C.
Okay.
Let's do this. X that out. Here we go. Put that on newsfeed first. See post. Okay, then put it on here. See. Post. Okay, so there's 2 down. Now let's do this one out.
Copy link. Oh no, I don't want a new tab. Dang it.
This one.
Copy link.
Okay, now let's refresh.
Alright.
Okay, there's that. Okay, I'm like more than halfway there.
Alright, I just.
Keep him busy. Keep him busy.
Alright.
Now let's Inception. Oh shoot, I should send that link to myself. Actually, let me put that in our chat so then I can do that mobile easier. New link.
I almost feel like the Facebook one by now might be easier. I don't know.
Maybe, but we're already on it.
Yeah, that's true. What was that?
I just sent the link to your phone.
Oh.
Just so I can easily access it as well.
Okay. Alright.
Copy.
Yeah, just got the link over there.
Sweet Christmas. I don't even know what to take a picture of. I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, I'll just take a picture of the YouTube chat. It's a lot less latent now, though.
Yeah.
So, I'm really liking that.
You sure you think the audio will be okay to?
I think it should be. It'll be decent enough to
Yeah.
like to go through. I'm just gonna have to really speak up.
And you think we'll have enough following also on here, or do you think?
I mean,
that's the only
with
other
YouTube,
thing.
I think it should be fine. Just because YouTube's like a pretty common platform, and I think as long as everyone clicks like the links on Facebook and the social media stuff, we should be okay.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna trust that someone's gonna log on. happens.
So far, chat.
Get onto the main page.
Now. Where's my main page? Alright. So I'm gonna do it.
Try a Coke Zero. Let's see if it actually tastes good with syrup. I might put in a little red Gatorade. Yeah, I should put in red Kool-Aid. Okay.
I'm like so hyped up. It's like I don't usually like drink caffeine, so I'm just like, and there's like so much sugar in that thing. I was like, what is happening?
Well, syrup's got a lot of sugar too.
Like I'm just like my attention is like everywhere right now.
Well, maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll help. So, if you guys don't know, I'm gonna try to make somewhat of a talk here now. But I feel like this is taps up here. In Utah and in Idaho, I don't know if this is common in other places. Also, just me and Aaron being from California, we don't see this very often where you mix things in drinks. Of course, you mix it in bars where alcohol is served, but being we're two guys that don't really do that, then you gotta go with alternatives. So let's. Okay, I can't do that, so I'm gonna be very careful. I serve like orange here. I feel like I'm putting in moonshine. Oh wow, I can smell that super strong.
Yeah.
Dang,
Syrup
syrup.
is. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna test that first. Yeah, the syrup definitely gives it more flavor because I can taste the lack of taste in the Coke. But it doesn't taste that bad though, because it's just like it's almost like tasting that almost. It's like I'm just gonna pretend that I enjoy consuming something. All right.
Where we're at. Okay, so let's save that.
This is how amateurish I have prepared to be able to get this all together here. So yeah, bear with us. Okay.
Do. Aha.
Okay, I'm gonna mix this one going on for 8 minutes.
Oh, that's it? Okay. I thought it was.
Well, the new one, yeah.
No, well, yeah, that's true. Okay, let's do that. My story. Dupe. Okay, get that one. Yeah. Wish it was an easy way to just insert links into stuff.
Yeah.
Let's delete this actually. Delete. Okay, now.
Shouldn't drink too much or eat later or something. We'll see what we can do. See what we're gonna manage to be able to do after this.
The DVLU. Trying to remember. Yes, okay, that's the right link. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay, keep talking. All right, so make use of the time that we have on here. Letting you guys know a little bit. The last video I posted, I mentioned a lot of things about my living room, which I humbly call my studio. We do have kind of a brightness with the lights. They're being most effective as the outside light is starting to dim down. And I continue to enjoy the small things that I continuously add into my collection of tools and collection of memorabilia or whatever it is that helps me enjoy more of the entertainment-oriented things in life. And the other things, because entertainment is like the big idea, and character is supposed to be the companionship idea between this. So, uh, Aaron, I mean, evidently, since if you have seen before, we have done a powwow before, where I did basically, it was more of an interview rather than a discussion. And I try to do those with people who have talent and who, at the point that I can tell, have characters that that accompanies their talent as well. And I'm not saying that you can disregard people's talent who have poor character. I'm just saying I just don't see that as valuable. There are a lot of very, very talented people out there, and you gotta give them due credit for what they do. But sometimes they're not the greatest people in person, aside from when they're performing or doing whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know. But anyhow, also, one thing I actually failed to mention, or actually maybe I didn't, but I did mention that one thing that did happen, well, technically 2 months ago, but not that much 2 months ago. But anyway, month and a half, let's put it that way. Month and a half ago, Pandutch and I did an event together, and we learned a lot from that event. Good things and some things that didn't go according to what we thought, but I'm always up for the adventure of figuring that stuff out. Of course, we don't following that we're looking for, but we have enough, I don't know what you want to call it, like enough gumption or enough guts to be able to follow through with what we believe is the right way to do stuff like this. So we're just gonna keep rolling with it and learn and figure out what it is that we can do on individual basis and anytime we choose to collaborate at the same time. Because that's kind of what we're at the point right now. There's very few people I get to collaborate with, mostly Aaron, Pretzel, and a few people up in Rexburg, a few people here in Utah, and a few homies down in California also. So we're gonna figure that part out as we go. More people who I have powwows with. I have so this year, here's a fun thing to just mention real quick. I'm supposed to do one powwow per month. Today's the first day of August, and I have only done 3. But, I mean, part of that is my fault, but another part is the people who I've tried to get with either are out of town or they don't reply back. So, we're going to try and get that part figured out a little bit. Okay, it looks like Pandutch is ready, so we're going to get
I'm ready.
We're going to get his discussional part in here. Let's see. Do you want to... Oh, keep it to this side.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
I activated something. Hold on. Don't mind me.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably good.
Okay.
Just lean in. All right, sweet. So you, how many days ago did you say you got here from Rexburg?
So I came in on Saturday night, Sunday morning. So today's Wednesday. So like 2-3 days ago.
Okay. And I mean, how much different is Utah from Rexburg? And
okay. Shoot. How do I? It depends. I feel like honestly, just like because Rexburg's so isolated, like in its own way, and it's just like this LDS college town, which sounds weird to put LDS college town in the same sentence, but it is, and so it's its own environment and it's its own atmosphere. But like coming down to Utah, there's like because Utah is more, I feel, more densely populated, and there's a lot of like you drive around to different parts of Utah, and it's like some areas are more like city-like, some areas are a little more rural, and I feel like there's a little bit more. The culture is opening up. That's what I feel is happening. As far as Utah goes, I've been seeing like a lot more concerts, and a lot more just. I feel like open, like minded people, like that are like starting to like either people's minds are being open, or there's a lot more open-minded people moving here. And I do know there's a lot of people who are moving here, just because of such a prosperous state in general. And so I feel that the culture is more, um, it's more accepting now than it might have been, like maybe even like a few years back.
I can see that a little bit. I've definitely seen a lot more characters in Utah than I expected that I would, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean in ways that you don't normally expect from the state of Utah that has a reputation for being what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you're not going to be here for long. You're going to be back in California.
Yeah, in
And,
like a week or two.
yeah. And after this past semester, what's kind of like the goal now? Are you going back in the fall, or are you?
I am going back in the fall.
Okay, so you're gonna be home for just a few weeks then.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, that's a lot of good time rather than someone like me who's stuck up here for a while with work, and who gets to go back every 3-4 months for just a few days.
Well, that's nice though. Still, like, because at the end of last year in December was the first time I had been back home, like in California, for I hadn't been before going back last December. I hadn't been home in like a year and a half, and so like there was just so many things that there were like a few things that were different, like because I live in the state of Rancho Cucamonga, and it just keeps getting further and further industrialized. Well, not like, I don't know. It's like a weird imagery when you think of industrialized. I feel like I imagine like smokestacks and stuff like that, but that's not what I mean. It becomes, there's a lot more people continuously moving there, and they got rid of plastic bags. That was like the weirdest thing for me. It's like
Everywhere in California, or
at least wherever I went, it was, because I remember I was getting groceries, and then like I was like, they're like, oh, do you want plastic bag? I'm like, yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, that costs 50 cents. I'm like, I'm gonna carry my groceries. like I don't want to pay more for plastic bags.
Yeah, that's kind of a hot topic right now. I mean, yeah, I think I don't know where that's happening, but I've heard that might be a thing in Utah. But I hear that people are kind of preparing, like to get their own like bags.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got I mean, I feel like the bags that you would bring would almost be like duffel bags, or those, what do you call them?
Like tote bags. They're like they're like
They're
the
basically
clothish.
Yeah, they're like cloth
Yeah,
squares,
they're like-
essentially.
Yeah, I think they're called totes.
Okay, yeah, because I got a free one during the Sundance Film Festival, and I don't really use it. I just kind of have it as like a backup thing in case I want to carry stuff. Like anytime that I move, I have boxes, and then I have a few things that I like to carry, like notable things
Yeah.
that I want to keep in certain bunches. So I'll do that. But yeah, I don't know where that's gonna start. And then of course, speaking of plastic, with all the straw stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was just talking about that with my friend the other day, and it's just like, cause, I don't know if you guys know, but boba's kind of a big thing in like Asian culture, and like it's in around like California,
it's like a big thing.
yeah, and so the thing with boba is like you have to have those giant plastic boba straws to sip the boba through.
Yeah, there's no other way to do it. I mean, no one's gonna just gargle down the whole boba.
Yeah, so I mean, man, I don't even know what we're gonna do.
I'm not sure. There's probably gonna be a way. I don't know. I think there's gonna be a way around it. I mean, some people have already figured out. I've found an article where it talks about how the U.S. isn't even really responsible for that much plastic that gets into the ocean or wherever it is that they're saying it's causing problems or pollution or harm to aqua life and stuff like that. So it's like there's other ways. And there was another video also for it's a certain kind of elderly people who what do you call the kind that have a hard time moving their hand, or like they can't keep still or something like that.
I do not know.
Yeah, you know what
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so they need straws because they can't just bring a drink cup to their mouth.
Yeah.
They need a straw to be able to suck something in. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Getting rid of straws is bad for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I also saw a meme.
There will be more accidents driving without straws. I can guarantee that.
There's some truth to that. I can see that. I'm trying to think, like, yeah, I don't really drink anything that much. Except if I drink a Jones soda, that actually like is a bottle where I have to like
Yeah.
shove all this thing down. But the straw would be easier because you can keep your eyes on
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um, Now you did tell me one thing also. I don't know if it's still in the works. You still having a hoping to have a collaboration with DJ George when you get down there?
I mean, just checking all the venues and stuff, it's a little more difficult. There was a really nice venue, but it was pretty pricey, and it came with like everything we needed. But I'm not sure if they'll still be going on for at least for this summer.
All right.
So maybe at a future time, we'll figure something out. Maybe it'll be a little more well ironed. Maybe just because schedules would have been a little rough, just because I'm only there for a few weeks.
Right.
And it
How
was just
about-
mostly like Facebook chat, like that we were discussing
Right.
event planning.
That's kind of how a lot of it is. Anytime I want to meet with George, but usually like he already has a plan set out, and I'm just a facilitator for dancers usually, which is an easy thing for me to do because I will bombard people. Like when we were doing our event, I was just like, hey, I know y'all are like busy or whatever dumb excuse you guys have, and so I was just messaging everybody saying, hey, can you battle? Hey, can you battle? It was so frustrating to try and do that.
It's hard.
And it was hard in California too, but it's like some people just pop up that I don't even know, so sometimes it just works out. And thankfully, it did at our event. It was stressful to be able to get to that point.
That's true. It's like, I mean, whenever you're doing like collaboration with, if for a live event, especially with like, at least for me, don't have like a ton of experience with it, but I've done a few events where I've like collaborated with other DJs, and it's kind of like you have to know what talent's around the area that you're in. Of course, it's easier when you're always in the area you're around. But like for the last Halloween event that we did, I was just kind of scouting around and like hanging out with friends, going to events, checking out other DJ sets and seeing what I liked about their stuff. And I ended up picking up a few of them for the Halloween party because I liked their style and the way that they mixed, and I wasn't gonna like just hold out restrictions. That was like one of the biggest things that they asked me to. They're like, "What do you want to?" They're like, "Hey, what can I play?" And I'm like, as long as it falls within like the regular jurisdictions of the environment that we're playing in, it falls within their codes, then you can legitimately play whatever. I don't restrict your style at all.
Right.
So it's just knowing who you're working with is like, I feel like the biggest thing.
There's a lot of truth to that. Now, I feel like I understand quite a bit of like your kind of genre style, kind of what you aim for, and you do bring out a couple surprises, which I totally like. But like I feel like there is a part of me that I guess I still don't know what is um, like the goal of like your events, because like I mean it's one thing to know like what kind of genre or what kind of like signature maybe you have, but like what's kind of, do you have like a theme or like something that you're kind of building on each time you create a new event, or something that helps you stand out? Because everyone can, any DJ in Rexburg, well let's just use Rexburg presently as an example, because that won't be the example forever, thank heaven. But like what causes like what's your goal for setting yourself apart aside from your style of playing from everyone else for your events?
That's a really good question, honestly. Honestly, there's a lot of things that it depends on the time of year. Like, I mean, if it's closer to like the summer, if it's closer to Halloween, I'll tend to choose, like if it's close to summer, I'll choose closer to like tropical kind of theme, maybe like tropical house style songs. If it's closer to Halloween, I'll choose stuff that's more themed with Halloween, or songs that are in like different, like certain keys, like keys of like G or A or F, are typically songs I like to choose, just for that kind of spooky or chilly kind of vibe. But in general, for me, like the most important thing with doing an event, because like you mentioned, it's so saturated with like, Rexburg is so saturated with DJs, and some of them are actually very talented. Others are just laptop and speaker.
Right.
And so for me, the most important thing about having an event is showing people that, hey, I mean, the DJ, like there's so many types of DJs. Like there's not just like your wedding DJ, your church DJ. There's like club DJs, festival DJs, underground DJs, other mobile DJs. There's so many different types, and the biggest thing for me is to show people that music is an expression in itself, and that it doesn't have to be a certain way. Just because you've heard one DJ doesn't mean you've heard them all. Like DJs mix, or hopefully a DJ has a particular style, and that style, it reflects what that type of person that DJ is, the type of music he likes, like how he expresses himself. It shows a lot about that type of person and what the type of message that they want to show at the same time. And maybe for that particular event, it'll just be, hey, I just want people to dance. Like that's a big part of the Rexford scene. It's just having dance events, like because there are dance events on campus and are sponsored by the school, but there are also the ones that I do usually attend are the ones that are off campus, and the ones that I throw are off campus as well. So just showing that music has the potential to be as open or as you decide for it to be is honestly. So I just want to surprise people, be like, hey, you didn't like. I would be like, yes, there's songs you know, and occasionally I call it vanilla when a song is how it was originally produced, and so I will occasionally play vanilla tracks, but it's pretty far and few between.
Yeah, there's a time. There's a couple of songs where when a DJ plays either a remix or tries to remix it themselves by either scratching or like shifting it into the next song in a certain way. And a lot of the times I don't have a problem with that because I like the creativity with it. But there are a few where it's like they're so iconic that sometimes it's like you don't want to disrupt the iconic vibe that's in at least that moment, not during the event, but in that moment you're presenting that song. I mean, that's just kind of what comes from me.
No, and that's super important. And this like one of the ways I personally kind of work with that and get around that is you take, for examples, you take the acapella from a well-known song and then put it to the beat of a different song, or vice versa. You can switch it around the same way, and maybe you can even mash up two iconic songs, and but because that way at least the audience will recognize one part of that song, and they'll be like, okay, and so that at least it'll give them at least a reach for familiarity, and then they'll recognize it. So, and sometimes that is just how, at least with regular, I don't know if regular is the right word, but like that type of dance scene kind of works. A lot of people do just dance to what they're familiar with, which is unfortunate, which is actually why I really do like the EDM crowd, is because they'll dance because they're just, most of them are dancing to that beat, and they're mostly just recognizing the beat and working with that, and that's why I really like the electronic crowd.
That's something I still don't have experience with. I've always envied anyone who's ever gone to, let's see, as an example, like someone who I think plays really good EDM, but that's also very danceable is Zed, and we've talked about Zed several times. I'm trying to think of like who would be very good at creating a very creative atmosphere house kind of event. Because I'm still trying to get used to the idea of like I love dubstep music, but I don't know if I could be in a crowd of an all like a 2-hour set like that. Like I don't know, maybe I would like it, I don't know, but I feel like house music would be easier for me to just move around with the crowd or something like that. I'm trying to think of like what the others. I mean, like I would probably be fine with sticking in Daft Punk kind of thing. that would be easy for me because they mix so much. Could probably do a Kelvin Harris one, but I don't know what his crowd is like.
I haven't been to Calvin Harris.
Yeah. Especially with the direction that he's kind of going. I would be interested what a Deadmau5 concert looks like, mostly because he's not like, I love his ingenuity, but it's not something like, I feel like I listen to his music to be either relaxed or to like observe a new idea. I don't really listen to it to get
I mean, if
I
you
don't
go
know,
to
that's me.
if you go to DOS this year, and which is coming up in yeah, in like a few weeks actually, Dead Mouse is gonna be there, so that would be an experience to try out. Is because yeah, DOS is another reason why I feel like the Utah scene is opening up. This DOS Energy Festival.
Okay. Now that we got on this subject, now I remembered something. Did you read the article of Dua Lipa saying something about? I don't think it was some sort of EDM festival. And obviously, it wasn't Coachella, but it wasn't Tomorrowland either.
Was it let's see, was it Ultra or?
I don't want to say Ultra, but it was some other EDM festival. That basically she tweeted out that like she's like the first female artist to be out there, and Reza or Rez.
Oh yeah.
She got well she I don't feel like she got really antsy about it, but like she tweeted something out, and one other artist I can't remember her name, but
Rez is actually going to be a DOS as well.
yeah. But yeah, there was some shift about like okay, Dua Lipa either had no idea or she doesn't give credit where credit is due. And so
I didn't see the article, but it's just I feel like female DJs should be recognized a little bit more. Rez especially as one of them.
She's the only one really on my radar that I've really come to
I can't remember. There's another.
enjoy a little bit more. I don't listen to her often,
Yeah.
but like this is interesting. And she has an iconic, and she has her hair and all
Her
of that.
goggles.
It's good. Yeah, like not all artists need it, but it's fun to see that a lot of people can set themselves apart. I mean, Deadmau5 has their
Signature helmet.
yeah, the what's Daft Punk. They have
Oh,
theirs. Skrillex has his hair. Rez has her giant goggle glasses and her hair also. Marshmello has his bucket helmet. I don't know, everyone has a couple of things. Alvin Risk has his big glasses also. Zed's kind of just Zed. I mean, he has his logo. He doesn't really have his thing, but his logo is pretty iconic.
That's true.
But yeah, I like what she's done because like I mean she's found like that basically is just a way to market yourself. Like if you can get people on board with that, then you have a following for something.
It's true.
I mean, hey, sorry,
The shirts.
over here. If you find his Facebook, just message him for a shirt. Brother got one, gave some away at the last battle we had. I'm still trying to figure out. I'd like another one.
Well, I might be updating them soon, so I might have a new
Did you update your logo?
I did update my logo. I've updated my logo. This is the second time I've updated my logo, and I just updated it like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, because I thought it looked a little different.
It does.
There's,
I've been wanting to update it for quite a while.
Okay, well, which is fine. I mean, I updated my Y.E.S logo several months ago from the old one, but my cards that I have still have my old logo on it. So I'm trying to get rid of my business cards in any way possible. I'll go to restaurants and try to see, hey, do you take cards, and I'll just put them up there just so I can say I got rid of them because they'll still have my email and contact and get my name out there for anyone who cares to even look at it. But yeah, got to get rid of those. And I know by that time that I'm done with that, I'll probably want to update my logo again.
Yeah.
Probably by that time. I don't know how I will do it, or if I'm gonna ask someone else to do it. I'm not really sure. But yeah, we'll get to that point. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's I don't know, one of those things. I just always want to change things. Well, not always want to change things, but I want to clean them up and like make them a little bit better. It's just like subtle enough, not too subtle. Man, let's figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. So after that, I mean, we've talked about your senior project a little bit, and do you have like any other big class that requires a big project of some kind? Not as big as a senior project.
Not that I can think of at the moment, to be honest. I think that's just the major one. Is I guess I can mention now. So I'm just going to continue to work on the pandutch brand and planning for a sizable Halloween party this year after the major, what I feel was the major success of last year's Halloween party.
I wish I was there. It sounded good.
It was there were way more people than I expected to show up. And like I mentioned earlier, I was really glad to have 3 other great friends and guest DJs on hand who all had spectacular sets. very different sets, but
Yeah.
it all felt like it meshed really well together.
Do I know any of the other guys?
So there was Y.E.S, who he had just gotten back from his mission.
Okay.
And so he had DJ'd before, and he was actually the guy who taught me to DJ. Those some of like the really basic stuff. Sweaty Eddie.
Heard of him, don't know him.
Yeah, I really I saw him earlier in the semester at an event that Beast Events was putting on, and I really liked the way that he did his mashups and his mixes, and so I talked to him after his set. And the other one is Zero Wolf, and so I had just met him at the beginning of that semester as well, and he had actually played Ultra Music Festival before, so he really knows how to spin. So I was really impressed with him. So yeah, I was really happy to have him on board. So
Do you think by that time, when I did my powwow with you, you mentioned that someday in the future, you're not really sure when, how soon, how later, you'd like to create your own music and your own beats. Any chance that you might make something for that event?
for that event, I'm not exactly sure, just because I have a lot of things going kind of on because I do have that senior stuff and I do have those classes going on. But I am getting a lot closer to. I feel like I am a lot closer to being interested into actually making something original. Just because I've invested a little bit more in like equipment, like sound, like a personal microphone that's actually catered more towards video recording, and have a MIDI keyboard that I can probably play around with now. So if I get a little bit more time, I might be able to do that.
Right.
So I'm a lot closer, but who knows in the future, near future, maybe I'll get a little bit better with some mashups, and maybe that'll lead to something.
Now, how do you balance all of that with also the Easter egg entertainment?
So, oh man, all right. So for those of you who don't know, Easter egg entertainment is my YouTube channel that's pretty much catered almost exclusively to like video games, and I do a lot of like playthroughs. Occasionally we'll do like commentaries with just like I'll have like friends as guests and we'll play like brand new games and stuff like that, or even like some older games. That one's a little kind of when I have time or when releases happen, and it's something that I've been doing for like only a couple years. But it's just something. It's just kind of like a fun hobby to show that I do love video games, and that they are a great source of entertainment. I know video games they don't get as much flack as they used to, but they still get some flack.
Yeah, I was also gonna ask a question about that because I feel like I know a lot of people whose opinions on not necessarily one subject but a lot of things that I highly respect, and they're very anti-video game. And I'm like, since I got back from Chile, I've played video games a couple of times, but not really that much. I don't even own my own consoles anymore. I used to have an Xbox. I really had a PS4. A lot of my roommates had Xbox Live, so I could play with them like really on occasion. Very, very, very not often. It was mostly if I ever played, it was because someone was wanting to do like a Super Smash Brothers tournament of some kind, which I'm like, okay, I'm all for that. But there's a lot of other people who I know who just think like they're the biggest waste of times, and it's like I can't defend that they're the most productive version of times, but I mean, there's a market out there for people who like it. I mean, my brother is really into watching other people comment on video game stuff on YouTube, and I'm just like, there's something out there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know really where to go with that. Like, I don't discourage video games. I just don't encourage they be your only source of recreational activities.
Right.
I think that's my thing.
No, I feel like everything in moderation. Like I feel like you shouldn't be able to. You can't. I don't feel like you should be able to rack on video games and not like rack on like movies and stuff. You can't say that video games are a giant waste of time, and not say that like going to the movies or like watching
Binge
binge watching Netflix
Yeah.
isn't a waste of time. Because that's just because maybe you don't just because you don't play video games doesn't mean you maybe don't have that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah, you can't be the only quote unquote lazy person if you're doing that, because there's a lot of people who say like, I don't waste time with games. Like, oh, like I mean, I'm very adamant about like, yes, I waste time on YouTube sometimes. I don't waste time on like the most nonsense things ever, but it's like I probably could have put that off later. I probably should have been doing something else with my time.
Yeah, it's
So,
for everyone. I feel like for everyone, entertainment is a little bit different.
mhm.
For me, a lot of the time when I'm watching or viewing or listening, it's a lot of for me. It's what can I glean from this? Like that's the main purpose of entertainment. I don't I don't do things usually to just like veg. Like people are like, oh, I need a break. I need to just vegetate for a bit, and I'm like, I honestly don't really understand that. Like for me, if I'm reading or I'm watching something, I'm like, okay, my mind's like active. It's what am I gaining from this? Like, okay, I didn't really like that line of dialogue. Okay, so how could it be improved? If my the Easter egg entertainment that channel, I've learned so much by recording those video games, learning how to like set up my equipment, learning how to edit, and I feel like it's helped me a lot as far as like the video, not only video, but it's also helped my DJing as well because I'm helping learning about sound. Where should I cut it? Where does it sound the most clean? And everything can come full circle. Like if you're doing entertainment and you're doing it to learn, then you can apply that knowledge to other aspects of your life as well. Like entertainment is, in a sense, it can be a point of view, but entertainment can be educational. I feel like at the same time.
I definitely think it can. Like, I don't know how many people have seen this, but I know a lot of people are talking about it. And this is something I really want to see is the documentary of Mr. Rogers with what do they call it? Will You Be My Neighbor? And he made when he did the thing where he went to the Supreme Court to try and get like a bunch of money. I don't know if it was a loan or a donation or something like that. I don't know what the proper term is, but he needed to save television, basically, or basic cable television or something like that. And he made a very clear, concise, um, yes, educational, but very very positive point of view of what at least his show wanted to do to be able to communicate morals or values and things like that on TV. And I found out that he actually went into TV because he didn't like what was going on with TV. It's kind of, it's a little similar to what I'm doing with my channel. I'm kind of frustrated with music a little bit. Not all music, just some aspects of it, or at least the ones that get all the glory and shine and things like that. So there needs to be people out there who voice an opinion, who don't just come across as the out of touch or out of the funk parents or something like that.
No, I agree.
So whether it be for music, for video games, for television, there's always going to be people out there who kind of stand up for the higher way, or at least the way that whatever entertainment or recreation can be focused in on its best potential to reach out to other people. So I kind of get that.
I agree. I feel like one of the best things about that I've learned about making like a YouTube channel and stuff, and there's always going to be like critics and stuff. Like the bigger your YouTube channel gets, the more critics you have, and then like you will eventually get like a negative comment and stuff. And one of the biggest things I've learned is that there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to like criticize, but they're not going to contribute like anything. But at the same time, it's not all bad because you're going to have people who are going to defend you at the same time. There have been people who have like defended like particular videos of mine. They're like, when someone criticizes, like, hey, they're like, well, too bad for you, you didn't check and stuff like that. So there's not only bad people on like YouTube. The comments aren't always negative.
Yeah.
There are overtly positive comments as well, and every positive comment like just like makes your day. Like, and the way that you, as a person, I feel like separate yourself from being just a person who criticizes all the time without offering any compliments or offering any proper critiques is like you look inward and you see how do I improve myself? Like how do I okay if I was working the way I was making this video or watching this, what could I improve on? And that was I think it's one of the most like comparing it back to DJing. It's like I spent a lot of time on the dance floor before I actually decided to start DJing. And I've been to several hundred several hundred dance events. And then before I started getting an idea of like where I actually liked the types of styles I liked with DJing and stuff. And then sometimes I was on the dance floor and I'd be like, you know, I bet I could DJ better than that. I'd be like, or I bet I could. I bet if I got jumped on the decks, I bet I could spin like a lot better. And then one day I was just like, well, why don't I? I was like, why don't I just like give it a shot and see like how good or learn like what it actually takes to do DJing. And you know, I feel like curiosity is kind of the genesis of creation. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of legitimacy to that. I've had some curious ideas about that also. I would like to know more about some DJing things. I took a few DJ classes down at the Herc in Salt Lake. Just learned a little bit. DJ Scratchmill helped me out a little bit. He said I could catch on to scratching pretty good. Now the next thing, what I would like to do, I don't really want to mix sounds too much. I'd rather figure out like how to set up a party set. That's pretty much what I would want to do. I would want to know like how to make one song flow to the next one and things like that. Just because I feel like based on the experiences from the Party in the Hearts, it's just like really not like that song.
Yeah.
So like, and it is a little different because when you are a dancer versus just a party goer, it's a little different because if you're, what's the correct term I want to use? Not to be politically correct or anything, but if you're a certain type of college female, let's just put it that way. And this can apply to guys too, I think, but for sake of argument, you just kind of go, and it almost feels like go with it, but you're not really focused on the music. Like, I know that's not everyone, it's just certain people out there. Because when I go, I expect to enjoy the music, but as someone who actually likes to just dance and not just form mosh pits, I want to be able to enjoy the experience of swaying side to side, busting a move, having everyone go, oh, holla, or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the only thing that I would really want to get out of learning how to put a song next to the next one and let it keep rolling, let it go down a little bit, raise it back up, however it needs to be. So a lot of
there's a lot of mechanics.
Yeah, and a lot of ideas that go into it before you even start the first song.
It's true. So. Like it's not only like when you're DJing, it's not only like the songs you pick. It's the type of crowd you're catering to. It's if you're in a set, if you're in a show with multiple DJs, it's where does your set fall into place? Like, are you the opener? If you're the opener, you probably shouldn't start with the bangers. You need to start with more warm-ups. If you're the closer, you can throw out a ton of bangers. Like it's very mechanical. You always have to like watch the crowd, see how the crowd's reacting during your set, and always have like, be like, okay, well maybe this next song isn't gonna go. Maybe I should let this song play a little bit longer. There's just it's always, and I feel like that's one of the parts that gets overlooked by just the bystanders or the waysiders, is that a really good DJ is always aware, and he's always active. He's not a sitting, or he or she is not a sitting DJ. They're they're constantly like working, and they're not just always like, it's good to have, it's not bad to have a playlist, but it's good to be malleable, and to know when you need to shift something or when you need to change something.
I think there's also a moment where like you get to a point where you can almost command the crowd. Also, I maybe you saw this, I'm not sure, but I went to 2 years ago. I went to the Utah Festival of Arts, and the HERC, well, I don't know if we can credit the HERC or if it was the B-Boy Federation, but they were able to get Grandmaster Flash to show up, and I got to go in and listen to his interview, and he had some profound words to say. But also being on the actual dance floor, where he could, it was like at certain moments, it almost felt like he was cutting the music too early, but it also felt like he was making sure that we weren't about to slow down into the third verse. We were going to keep it rolling, and certain songs he let expand that long, but it felt like he always knew, like, we're going to switch it to this, we're going to get this, we're going to make sure this groove is here, we're going to make sure people know that they have to bring their A game to the floor now. And so, and it helps when you have a majority of that crowd already there, and then people who gradually come in to join
It's
the party
true.
can already feel that.
Yeah, it's crazy, and a lot of the time, especially with like part or like events that take place later in the night, it's usually the later DJs who do get exercise more of the crowd. But it's not always that. It's not always that way at the same time. Like, you exercise as little or as much control as you can or need to. Sometimes DJs have MCs. Sometimes they MC themselves, and if they do it effectively, then it can add just that much more to their set. But at the same time, I've seen it where they overdo it, and basically, like, in between every song they're MCing, and so it cuts the flow of the music. And so there's a happy balance that can be found. But at the same time, there's DJs who don't really MC at all, and they just let the music mostly speak for itself. Laid Back Luke is an example of that. He's a little bit older school of a DJ, but he doesn't really do a ton of MCing. He just kind of he plays his tunes, and people go nuts for them.
Yeah. If I were to do it, I would only be like, because I know of these situations where I would, like, depending on what, like, the party circumstance was, I would, like, kind of, I don't really like pausing the music in the moment of it. I would kind of find a beat that you can just kind of turn down a little bit, and the crowd was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, kind of thing. Because by that time, you could, at whatever point in the party or the festival, whatever it is, you can kind of get them to be a part of something that will be a good experience for everyone who's in the crowd at that moment. Speaking of people at events, I'm not sure what it's like currently. I don't want to always bring the topic back to Rexburg, but it's like I'm going to use it as an example into something that you wanted to talk about or wanted to kind of get along the lines. That there's a lot of events that, whether it's talent activities, rec activities, or something like that, that I've heard over the last few years that the workshops get more attention and more attendance than the actual events themselves. Like you guys had, I mean, kind of an example, like was there still Battle of the Dance taking place this year? I felt like it happened, but it wasn't like a
It did. It was a little. I feel it was a little helter skelter, to be honest. Just because there wasn't a lot. Honestly, there was only, I would consider, like, maybe one actual, like, hip hop group that actually performed, and everything else was just kind of like modern dance, which isn't bad. I'm not opposed to modern dance at all. It was just a little bit different than the usual, and I feel like there's not a lot of prep time that's given. They don't give us a lot of time to prepare adequately for our choreography and our sets.
I could kind of argue that because they always do it kind of around the week before, or the week after midterms. And so you only got about 7 weeks to prepare, and usually third or fourth week, and then you only have 3 or 4 weeks
Yeah.
to try and get everything down.
7 weeks would be pretty gracious. Most of the time, we don't even. When I say we, I, both of us dance. I don't usually do a ton anymore, but every now and then I'll dip back into choreography. But usually, it'll maybe be a month of prep that they'd give, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And which it would be fine for just music, but choreography in itself is a huge animal, and a month is not enough time to get like great, like really fine-tuned choreo down.
You have to simplify it a little bit. But I also feel like a lot of other people, aside from the hip hop people, usually have a little bit. Their performances are a little bit shorter. I don't. That's a big generalization, but I feel like I remember when anytime we did shows, or they were usually about 5 to 6 minutes, which is a lot of choreography.
Yeah.
Which versus other people who have maybe 2 to 3 minutes, which is a fair amount, but still not that complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what to say about that. But what I want to get at is, like, I remember talking to Brother Nagata, and he talked about how, like, he was coordinating a lot of those events where, like, or a lot of those semesters where those events were getting less attendance. Also, when you talked back to the, I can say this because I'm not disclosing any one person, but just at the health office, a lot of people would go in because everyone's suffering from some sort of depression or some other psychiatric thing that's happening to them in that semester, whether it was something completely new, or some people had issues after coming back from their, I don't know, like, everyone has an individual basis for completely different reasons. And I feel like you've kind of addressed that a few times, where, like, not for that instance, but
Right.
you feel like that's something that, like, it is either you're really interested in, or you have, like, some, I don't want to say personal experience, but you might know a little bit more about it. That is something.
I feel like it's a mix of things, honestly. That being said, like, for instance, it's hard to find the actual signups. Like, for example, for Battle of the Dance itself, you have to definitely do some searching, where to sign up for your maybe your pair or your team for Battle of the Dance, and that might have some issue too. That might be the reason for some of why there aren't a lot of people signing. Because I honestly don't feel that you should have to search, like, make such an effort in searching of where to sign up for something that you want to perform in. That's a school activity. It should be a lot easier, and there's a lot of other activities that are a lot easier to find through our own website. As far as the mental health issue, I feel like in general with the world, there's like new medical disorders being I don't want to say invented because that sounds really mean, but being addressed every day. And I'm not saying that categorized would be probably a better word. And I don't want to say that there aren't new ones happening, but I feel like sometimes that we pay so close attention to as all the health issues that could be happening, that we're like, oh, okay, so someone's suffering through this, so let's kind of like give them a little bit of like a lapse or something. But there's other, if you have it, there's a very high chance and a high likelihood that someone else has it at the same time. And so I don't. This is also gonna sound kind of but just because like you have it doesn't mean that it's like the be all end all. Like there are things that are very difficult to solve, but at the same time there are routes that you can take, and if you do work hard enough, there are a lot of instances where you can improve the betterment of your own life at the same time. And I'll just give myself as an example. Like I'm pretty sure I have depression of some sort. So it comes up during certain months. heavier than others, and so like and then like it can be triggered by the what would be like the most subtle things. Um, but the thing is I do my best not to let it kind of take over my life. And I don't, and the reason I don't say that a lot of talk a lot about my own depression is because like I don't want people to prop up pillows for me.
Right.
I don't want them to be like, oh wait, but if I say that, they might be like, oh. And I don't want to just live my life, the rest of my life, just like with people like, you know, holding up pillows, just just in case, worried about that I'm gonna like be, that what they say is gonna trigger my depression, or that they'll do something that'll like make me feel bad. I don't want them to have to do that, because that's not gonna, one, that's not gonna help them, that's not gonna help me either. It's not gonna help me resolve my own issues. Like, part of me is learning how to deal with that. Like, I need to learn to deal with my own depression, how I should go about solving that kind of thing. And so, it's like, and for me, it's like every day looking at the positive things I do have in my life. I'm surrounded by great friends. I have a wonderful family, and constantly looking at the great and wonderful things and people I have in my life is a reason for me to just continue on. I mean, do bad things happen? Yeah, a lot of bad things happen. Like, and you're like, oh man, this happened to my car, and I have to like throw $500 down. And all of a sudden, I was trying to save that $500 for something else. And bad things will happen. And as you grow older or more mature, and you grow up, you'll have to like make those car payments. You'll have to pay your apartment rent. You're gonna have to deal with your in-laws. There's always going to be something that's going to stress you out, and no matter what, you're not going to be able to escape stress. It's just a part of living.
Right. Not that all stress things come from financial problems, but I mean a good chunk of them can. I'll just use this as an example, and not want to take away from the limelight from this a little bit. But I remember 1 month last year, I got my very first ticket. I broke my iPhone screen for the very first time, and I got towed for the very first time. So adding all that up, that was about $400 right there for three major things. It's like,
that wasn't in California, was it?
No.
See, if that was in California, $400 would have been just the ticket.
Yes, exactly. No. I got towed in Provo. I broke my iPhone screen at my grandma's house, and I got the ticket on the way to Rexburg. So, all different. And today even, I didn't tell you this when you came in. I woke up and I got these emails that someone had tried to add their email to my PayPal account, and I had to call PayPal, cancel my PayPal, and start a new one. Also, email said someone tried to hack into that, so I spent $200 I did mention the firewall. I did pay some money to secure my computer. Luckily, not every time I get my paycheck, but occasionally I do add something to an emergency fund. I always look at that fund and I'm like, I only want a certain amount because I don't want to keep adding to it, but I know that things keep happening. Life does not happen how you plan it to. Sometimes great miracles happen also, and so you should be tremendously grateful when those things happen. But more often than not, life is just full of unexpected things that don't have to bring you down, but because they are unexpected, you're not going to immediately be, hallelujah, something different happened in my life. So, yeah. And then bringing it back, so now that I've said that, bringing it back to kind of more of the other things, because I know a fair amount of people. I don't want to say I know a lot of people, but maybe I do know more people that suffer through it than I don't, who just aren't as open to it, to whether it is depression or whether it is anxiety or whether it is, I don't know what else, other example, those are the two most common ones that I'm aware of, that just, they want help, but they don't want to have other people have to worry about it all the time, like kind of what you were saying. There's also people who try to express how they try to cope with it, and other people do not the exact opposite, but something that actually is not the helpful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had that with someone I was dating, and that was always a really hard thing for me to try and figure out, because I could just be there for her, but also it was a challenge because I wanted to do more.
Right.
Um, but it also I found that living on my own, I feel very free. But I've also found that there are small moments in my life where I feel very lonely. And I don't mind solitude. I don't mind solitude at all. I mean, I'm still alive here by myself. But I do not like loneliness. So I usually cope with that with music, where I have videos playing on like TV and stuff like that. I have lots and lots of movies in my drawers over here, so I'm just always reading something. So I've had a few really weird low moments. I told it to my mom once, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird saying that out loud. I'm like, Mom, don't worry, I'm okay. So I'm not saying I do have anything, because I don't know. And I really don't think I do. I'm just maybe it was just a really really bad day, because I've had one of those. But yeah, music has always been something that's assisted me to just at least muscle through, and then usually the next day I feel better. Like, I'll tell you one thing. You remember me mentioning Pogo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one day I was coming back. I think it was from a date actually, and the date, it wasn't bad. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, and I started driving home. And one of my favorite artists is John Mayer. Everything he writes, I feel like I have a complete connection to, and I decided I'm gonna make myself feel better, and I'll listen to John Mayer. For some reason, it wasn't helping me at all. I tried playing the next song and the next song, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible now because one of my favorite people can't get me through. And so I'm like, maybe I need to listen to something else. So I put on Pogo instead, and immediately I felt joy, and I started sobbing at the same time. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So something worked,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, I felt so weird, because I felt like I think music just saved my life. It was really weird. So I was like just crying the whole drive back home, and I felt stupid doing that. But I felt like, no, but it's a good thing that there's something that you enjoy that can keep you headstrong and moving forward and something like that. And I just thought how odd that was. And like, some dude who makes random Disney noises with a beat from Australia has affected me in a different area of the world. It's like art does weird things. Like, people can do that through a painting. I've had it. Of all things, a painting has had an emotional impact on me. A poster can do that. A light show, a DJ set. I don't know. Like, anything could really do that. And I'm just like, there's something to live for. It's just weird that you feel like maybe you're tied down to something, but you got to have more things to live for. And I feel like that's still something that I'm trying to figure out, because I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't know what we're doing with this at the moment. I know that I like doing it, and I want it to be something bigger, but I still don't know like what direction I'm trying to turn it into. And that's why I like talking to people like you and all the powwows. It's like, I just want to share good things, and I don't want to be the solo man. I don't want to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be. I don't mind being a guy who is in the midst of it all, but I don't need this limelight. I just want to be part of something that brings something greater to the world.
Right.
Yeah.
No. It's like, I feel like, I don't know. You study communications, I'm studying communications. It's all of whatever connects with you is, and just because, because music, movies, video games, books, talking, texting, any sort of anything. Most of it is communication, and just because one maybe speaks stronger to you than the other, it may not mean doesn't necessarily mean that you don't connect with it. It's just maybe that you haven't found something or found the way that it connects with you best quite yet. I know this is really funny. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's funny, but for the longest time, one of my friends he didn't like rap or hip hop. He would always say rap is crap, and then
I know a lot of people used to say that.
and then at one point when we were hanging out and stuff, like he was like, yeah, I finally found the song I liked, and it was rap, and it was one of those things. He finally found the way that genre connected with him, and it's so just because you can't dismiss something entirely just because you haven't figured it out yet. I feel that's one of the biggest parts of just living life in general is understanding the way that best connects with you, and not only understanding how things best connect with you, but how you can best portray yourself and connect with other people. Did it die?
I froze. I'm not sure. Well, it's been kind of a long time anyway, so those are good things. If it is still working, I'm going to try and wrap this up. I know we could go on for 3 more hours. There's so much more stuff I would totally mention on that. But if you guys like the discussion that we've had, let us know. Comment below. Follow pandutch. I'll link his social media. And yeah, I think we're good. I'm hungry. All right, we'll keep it at this. All right. Oh my gosh.
I think you overheated. Wow, you are so hot right now. And I don't mean in a sexy way.
Where did it stop is what I'm wondering.
Okay. Okay, YouTube.